Today we are going to do a tool called foreground and background conversations. Anytime there's a conversation, there's a foreground and background conversation. This particular tool, by the way, would be useful as you watch our videos. When you're watching a video, have a piece of paper in front of you, because I'm going to talk to you about recording background conversations. First, let me explain what foreground conversations are. Foreground conversations are the conversations you have overtly, the conversation that's audible, the conversation that is by people that are there. Even though I am not physically there, if you're watching this with a few other people, the foreground conversation right now is predominantly me speaking and you are all listening. And if there is any conversations going on in your room, that is part of the foreground conversation. And those conversations, by the way, foreground conversations are audible. They are typically appropriate for the circumstance, for the situation. They are apropos for the environment in which you are in. Typically, they are non-judgmental. Typically, they are sensitive to the feelings of others. Typically, they are politically correct. You don't just blurt out anything in a foreground conversation. So, for example, if some of you were laughing, or if one of you spoke up in the middle and said, "What's he talking about?" That would be part of the foreground conversation. Even though that was judgmental, it was amongst you. Background conversations, on the other hand, while the foreground conversation is going on, in the back of your mind, there's a background conversation going on. The background conversations might not even be relevant to what's going on. You might actually be thinking right now, "Oh gosh, I have to finish that project. The deadline is tomorrow." That's a background conversation that's going on in your mind right now. Background conversations don't have to be non-judgmental. In fact, they're often judgmental. In fact, you might be thinking right now, "Why does this guy walk around so much? Why doesn't he just stand still? Why does he wave his arms around so much?" These are background conversations that are going on in your head. These background conversations are sometimes not relevant, sometimes judgmental. Oh, political correctness, forget it. They're politically totally incorrect sometimes. These are all conversations going on in your head. Sometimes background conversations are very relevant. As we do these two, as you listen to these tools, like this one itself, you might find that there is an application of this somewhere back at work. That conversation that's going on in your head, "Oh, what he's talking about, that's what we were doing there at that meeting." That conversation that's going on in your head, non-audible, but going on in your head, that is background conversation that is very valuable. So you might want to record those background conversations, because those background conversations take the material that's being discussed and immediately applies. At the moment, you're applying it to aspects of work back at the workplace. Always have a piece of paper where you can record your background conversations. The idea of recording background conversations does three things. First of all, it makes you intentional about the background conversation you're having. Second, it makes it actionable, so that you can go back and you can actually do something about what you have just learned back at work, as you had figured out. But third and most importantly, it takes material that is otherwise abstract and creates it concrete and usable for your situation. Background conversations are extremely valuable. Record background conversations. Have some mechanism for yourself to record background conversations. Foreground conversations are great, but background conversations are in fact even more powerful. Pay attention to not only foreground conversations, but background conversations as well.